Oh, I forgot to plug in my internet cord. Give me 5 seconds to do that. This is very unprofessional. All right, internet cord's plugged in. Hopefully we shouldn't have any latency or buffering issues. Hello, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. And I know that I'm a little early on this one. Normally we do our live streams at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And as you can tell, it's not 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you're here watching us live. We're 9 a.m. in the morning. Oh, I guess that's redundant, 9 a.m. in the morning. We are live streaming at 9 a.m. And the reasons being is I got a bunch of stuff going on today. Meeting up with someone who I've never met before. Actually, someone's flying in from Florida to come and hang out and talk about ministry and presumably YouTube. I don't know for certain. This person I've never met, just spoken on the phone. They're literally coming to my home and we're gonna chat. This person might actually end up interrupting our stream, so I apologize for that if I end up getting a knock at the door and I have to run off and like answer the door and bring that person in. I'll keep doing the live stream for the 30 minutes that I normally do the live streams, which I normally do live streams for 30 minutes at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But because of today and because of the next couple of days, I'm busy in the evenings because my church is doing a series that I wanted to be supportive of. I put out in the community tab, I said, when do y'all want to do live streams? And I gave us all a few options. If you're not following me, you can subscribe. There's this thing called the community tab where I post little tidbits. It's kind of like Twitter or Facebook, but like the YouTube version of it. And sometimes I post like inspiring quotes and things of that nature. And yesterday I asked you guys to vote on a live stream schedule, and overwhelmingly you said 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that brings us to today. Today it's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and we're live streaming. So thank you to those of you guys who voted and participated. I know that for a lot of you guys, you live in other parts of the world. Like I see we got Jack here from the UK. We got Sharon here from Connecticut. We got a handful of people that are just here from all over the world. And generally speaking, my 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time doesn't really work for you. So I'm glad to be able to switch things up a little bit. I think I'm going to be missing some of my regulars. We kind of have this community of people who are showing up every single day, which is awesome. I get to see the same people every day and get to hear about their life, which I'm very grateful for. But it's cool to meet some of you guys. Aurora from Canada. We got Lewis. We got Elizabeth from Denmark and Mary from Sweden. Hello, Mary. It's good to see you. I know Mary. Mary, you're a very special person. I appreciate you because you stay up like to 3 in the morning or something sometimes to do live streams later in the day. That's incredible. Like, that's dedication, and I admire that quite a bit. Jake Hyder says, found you through John Jorgensen. We got Jay from Florida, Miss Believer from Tennessee. Good to see all of you guys. So yeah, we if you're joining us for the first time, we do Q&As. We do Bible related, oftentimes Bible Q&As. We do different things on life and advice and things like that. So feel free to drop a question in the live chat, and I'll do my best to get to as many of these as I possibly can. We'll do questions. One of the things that I do want to say is that this live stream is sponsored by my patrons. Patreon.com/thatchristianvlogger if you want to support the channel. It's only made possible by those amazing people. And if you want to support this stream in particular, Super Chat is available. It's a way to give $1 or $2 or something along those lines. Right under the live chat, there's a functionality, there's a little dollar button. You can hit that and you can contribute to the channel. It displays your comment on the screen in a very special way. There's a funny GIF or GIF, depending on how you pronounce it, that shows up. And I will respond to any comments or any super chats that you put in there. Of course, you don't have to, but it's a way to support, it's a way to give back, it's a way to get your comment highlighted and all that kind of good stuff. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, it's available. But with that said, let's go ahead and turn over to the live chat. We got about 25 minutes to go for this live stream. If you are excited, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us in the live stream to answer any kinds of questions they got. I'll do my best on the whole answering every question intelligently. Of course, I am only human. I can only do my best. So we'll do my best. And we'll go with that. Anywho, let's see. When are you going to make your video on Annihilation? Sabrina's asking. I'll probably do that in the next couple of months. It's not in the immediate future. It's going to be a little bit longer. But it is something that I'm working on. Hold on, I got a text message I got to respond to. Going through the alphabet should reach V6. Sounds good. Mid live stream when you show up. Yeah. Oh, actually, that sounds good. Mid live stream. When my friend is outside my complex somewhere. We'll see. How do I know, or also, do you know Paul and Morgan? Yes, I do know Paul and Morgan. I consider them to be very close friends. We did a collaboration series with them earlier this month, earlier last month, or maybe 2 months ago. How long ago was it? It was fairly recently, and we've done like 4 or 5 videos in collaboration, which are pretty fun. What is this about Burt's Bees? Where did that go? Burt's Bees is the best, just saying. Yes, I agree. Burt's Bees is the best. And as you can tell, this is my little fidget. I don't have a fidget spinner. If anyone wants to send me a fidget spinner, then I'll use it on stream. But for now, this is my fidget spinner. It's my chapstick. If you're saved, can you lose your salvation? You know, the interesting question. I've actually done a video on this subject. So here's a little tool I've shown off a handful of times. If you go to my YouTube channel page, there is, oh, I guess I should do this from a new viewer perspective. How do I do this? Let me do it from an incognito window so you don't see what I would see. You see all my live stream archives. Okay, so you go to YouTube channel page, right? Here it is. Voila. At the top, there's this little magnifying glass you can see right here in the corner. Well, not in the corner, but right here. You type in this magnifying glass and you can search for a video. So I've actually done a video. If you type in the word salvation, you'll see that the first video is a video. Is it possible to lose your salvation? And then there's my own ad. I'm watching my ad on a live stream from my own video. Let's see here. Here is the video to can you lose your salvation? My answer is no, I don't think you can lose it. I think you can give it up. I think that you can make the decision to walk away if you wanted to, that God honors that decision. But like, can someone like steal it from you? Can you lose it in that, like that kind of language? No, I don't think so. Do I have a PO box? I don't have a PO box at this point. I don't know if should I open a PO box? I don't know if people would actually care to send stuff. I know that some YouTubers have PO boxes, and I don't know. I've never opened one for the channel. But let me know if you want me to open up a PO box. What do I think about Paul and Morgan's video that's getting a lot of hate? Which one of their videos is getting a lot of hate? Their homosexuality video? Is that the one?
Even though you've been
yeah. What do I think about them getting hate? I'm not surprised. Videos get a lot of hate, especially when you talk about controversial subjects. Like obviously I did the video on I've done a series on homosexuality. I've done a video on Halloween most recently. I got a lot of hate for that one too. So I am not surprised when videos get hate. Here's something I said recently in a seminar I was teaching. We get surprised when the world acts worldly. We get surprised that when we as Christians live the Christian faith and then people respond negatively, when the world responds worldly. I don't know why we are surprised when that happens, because that just seems logical. The world's going to act worldly. So do I get surprised when there's hate? No, not necessarily. I sympathize a lot with what was going on. I watched that live stream where they were talking about, or at least watched part of the live stream, watched the whole thing. I watched part of the live stream where they're talking about just kind of the impact it's having on their hearts and how challenging that can be. Like, and I totally understand that. Like, I have been there. It does hurt. Comments on the internet, you know, we're told sticks and stones will break our bones, but words will never hurt me, right? You've heard that phrase if you've grown up in the States. But the reality is words do hurt. quite a bit. Sometimes words can hurt more. So I empathize with that very much so. And I'm sorry for them that that's what they have to go through. And it's a pain in the butt. Like, I get it. Knock at the door. This is my friend. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Ronan, no. Okay. Hey. Hey. Hi, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Come on in person. Welcome. This is my dog. He's gonna freak out the entire time he's here. Ooh, hey, coyote. Hey. Come here. What's that?
Oh, never find this place.
What was that?
I kept on seeing W, I kept seeing X, I kept on seeing Y. I'm like, where is V?
Yeah, sorry about that. Come on up. We're doing a live stream for like another 20 minutes or so. You can help me field questions if you like.
Oh,
or you can just sit and watch. Like, it's totally up to you. Come say hi to the cameras. This, guys, is my friend, Pastor Juan
Rodriguez.
This is here. You gotta. So this is what you can see. So this is Pastor Juan Rodriguez. Hey, everyone, say hi in the chat. So you can see this is the live chat. This is what people are saying. Someone says, Darth Vader says, greetings, good sir.
Why, hello,
Kate and Lynn say hello. We got roughly 50 people watching, and I try to do a live stream every day for like 30 minutes or so.
All right.
We tend to do like questions and answers about the Bible, topics on faith and stuff like that. So if you'd like,
very nice.
why don't you grab a chair right here,
All right.
and just pop a squat next to me. Actually, you can go on this side. That'll be simpler, and we can field questions together if you'd like, if you don't mind.
No problem.
We're here. Well, just I was telling them, like, I don't even really know what we're gonna do. We're gonna be talking about, obviously, ministry and YouTube, I would assume, because that's how we connected.
Yes.
But what else are we trying to chat about today?
I'm gonna see how we can best support you and give you a larger platform and help you out.
Oh, awesome. So you work with a church in Florida, correct?
Correct. I'm with Youth Young Adult Ministries.
So Youth and Young Adult Ministries in Florida.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So this is an idea of what youth are thinking about. So yeah, Sabrina's asking, can we ask him questions? Sabrina, you can absolutely ask Juan questions. I'll say for him, so he doesn't have to say it for himself. He might not have all the answers, but if he has a good answer, I'm sure he'd be willing to jump in and share his point. Kevin Wilson, what's going on? Kevin is a pastor in San Diego.
Awesome.
In the Escondido area, I believe. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you, buddy. Good morning. All right, so, here's a good question. So this has been a reoccurring theme over the last week or two. Sabrina's asking this question. It's a good question. I'm planning on doing a full video on this, and so we've had some conversations on the concept of annihilationism.
All right.
She asks, do you believe in this?
And so what is the definition that you guys have been talking about concerning what is annihilation? What is the definition?
So when I've been talking about annihilationism is, well, actually, so Sabrina, we've been talking about two different things, and I want to know which one you want to talk about more specifically. Annihilationism is this idea that you're not burned in hell forever and ever and ever. That's the one part, but instead you're basically, when you die or when the judgment happens, boom, you're done, you cease to exist. That's one thing that we've been talking about. Or are you talking about when you die, you go to sleep? Bro, get him more audio. Is the audio not strong enough on him? Okay, let me fix this. Go ahead and talk real quick.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not. I can bump this up, turn you a little bit. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, that should work better. You might have to just speak louder.
All right, I'll talk louder. I'll use my booming voice.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Sabrina is saying, I believe that annihilation is the thought after death. You don't go to heaven, you are just gone. So we're talking about, so the terminology I've used, Sabrina, is the idea of soul sleep. That's kind of how I've heard it been described before, is that when you die, you sleep until the resurrection. Then you're resurrected, then you go to heaven. So no one goes to heaven or hell right when they die. Is kind of the idea that we've been talking around.
Right. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think from my understanding, when I read the Bible, I'm along the same kind of thinking of what you're saying. I think that there's a time when people will be going to heaven, and that's a time when Jesus comes back to take it to heaven. And I believe that if you were to die here on earth, you just wait for that time, and if you don't quite make the cut and go to heaven, then I think that's when you're like, terminated forever.
Yeah. So is this thing focusing? What is going on here? Okay. So one of the things that I have talked about in previous videos is this idea of God gives you ultimately what you want. I had a teacher when I was much younger tell me something to the lines of, do you want to know the secret of how to get to heaven? And of course, as a kid, I'm like, yeah, I want to know the secret of how to get to heaven. Thank you for the subscription, Wendy. Appreciate that. And the idea was, if you want to go to heaven, you'll make it to heaven. And I remember thinking about that as a kid. I was like, that just sounds way too easy. That's got to be a trick. There's got to be like a catch-22 about it. And especially when I first started to like study the Bible for myself, I kept thinking, there's no way that this is accurate, because there's so many things the Bible talked about what we should or shouldn't do. And I thought that there has to be more than, do you want to go to heaven? But as I've matured more, I started to realize this is exactly what God does. God ultimately gives everybody what they want. So there's a lot of people who are atheists who I've heard and I've spoken to. They're like, listen, why can't God just leave me alone? Why can't God just let me be myself, let me do life, and just like leave me out of it? So at the end of the day, I actually believe that's exactly what God does. God strives for these people. He loves them, and he's seeking to kind of establish a connection with them. But at the end of the day, if they truly decide to reject him, he leaves them alone. He doesn't force them, and he lets them go. But here's the point, is that God is the life source. God is the thing that puts breath in our lungs. And so I think about like the movie Interstellar, or I think about any kind of science fiction movie where they're out there and they're out there like they're in the space suit, they got the oxygen tube, and they're like walking over the space station, or whatever the case is. If that cord gets cut, guess what happens? They're disconnected from the life source. Boom, they're done. And I think the same thing is true, is that when we choose to be disconnected from God, and God finally says, okay, I will respect your decision, and he fully just disconnects from you, the natural byproduct is exactly what happens when a light is or a bulb is disconnected from electricity. When you and I are disconnected from oxygen, boom, we just cease to be in existence. So that's kind of how I look at it.
And I totally agree.
Anything that you would want to add to that?
I can't add anything else, brother. I think you've explained it really good.
Okay, awesome. So Sabrina's asking, here's a good follow-up question. I'm confused. Do you believe in hell? I do not believe you can believe in heaven without hell.
So yes, there is a part of me that understands the whole understanding of what hell is. And I guess there's two ways of looking at it. Some people have the idea that hell is something that is, you're being tormented for like the rest of your life, that you're suffering there in this one place the rest of your life. And for me, just simply, hell means just a place where that final judgment, where God, because of our decision of not wanting to connect our hearts to his heart for the rest of our lives, he'll look upon us in a sad way, say, I wish you could have chosen me, and just the hell of that final judgment. So I guess that's my understanding is from the Bible.
There's a really interesting passage, Sabrina, and I know that we need to do full videos on this to kind of give you like a step-by-step, walk you through the entire thought process. There is a passage in Revelation chapter 20, and let's go to let me see, 7, 8, 9. All right, so Revelation chapter 20 verses 7, 8, 9. Oh, I gotta make this even wider for us. Otherwise, well, that's as wide as that goes. We only get part of each of us. Revelation chapter 20, verses 7, 8, and 9. This is actually where the Bible talks about this idea of hell. One of the commonly believed myths is that hell is like at the center of the earth, or that hell is burning now. And as you know, Sabrina, I don't believe that either hell is burning now or people go straight to heaven when they die, like right away. Revelation chapter 20 actually gives us a little bit more information on hell itself. Check this out. Revelation 20 verse 7, it says the defeat of Satan. When the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison. He'll go out to deceive the nations that are at the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle, their numbers like the sand of the sea. Then it says, then they marched over the broad plain of the earth. And I want you to focus on that. This army is marching on the earth, like walking around on earth, okay? They surround the camp of the saints in the beloved city, but then notice this, fire comes down from heaven and consumes them. Okay, so this is a really important point, is where is hellfire? Where is hell located? Well, obviously, it's on the earth because this is where the wicked are marching about. This is where Satan is. So hellfire actually doesn't take place in the center of the earth or on some distant planet. Hell actually takes place in a very real sense on the surface of the earth. And now you can clearly just look around. Is there like a place that's burning forever and ever and ever and ever right now? Obviously not. So hell hasn't even really started at this point right now.
Yeah, I think you make that pretty clear there from what you're saying there from the Bible.
Oh, Mary, I've been meaning to get to your question. I saw this one earlier. So Mary had a question. She came in earlier for the live chat at the very beginning, and she has some advice. And actually, I'd like your perspective on this because you have much more experience with the pastoral kind of thing. So here's the situation for Mary. I'm going to summarize your comments, Mary, because there's like 7 or 8 of them in a row. So Mary is normally goes to the supermarket, and there's usually a beggar that's outside asking for food, asking for money, whatever the case is. Every single week she goes. So this beggar will follow Mary into the supermarket as she's trying to buy her own stuff, and she keeps asking for things. She doesn't understand the language. Like this person speaks another language apparently. And what happens is she ended up helping her out by paying for some of the stuff that this woman or this person, woman needed, like over 100 euros worth.
Wow.
So like she was trying to help, but Mary's a student. It's not wealthy, doesn't have like tons of stuff. This person also says that she's pregnant. And basically, long story short, is every time she goes there, she's kind of being hounded by this person. And there's like this sense of guilt that she's unable to help because she has such limited resources. What would you say to this person?
Well, I would say that I know your heart is probably in the right place, and that you're doing, you know, something that you feel like you have to do to be able to help that person. But obviously your finances are not in a place that you can help this person all the time. So I would just continue to help whenever you can with whatever you can. But just to make yourself feel better, I don't think there's an obligation that you have for that person. I can tell you that there's many people that are homeless, or that are in need, that are always going to be there. And as long as you are willing to help them, many times that just leaves them in that place that they're not willing to, you know, be in a different place and be in a better place. And so I want to encourage you not to feel bad, because I think your heart's in the right place and you do want to help. But sometimes we simply can't. And just be able to do what you can with what you have at the time. But not try to overthink it and think you're a bad person if you don't.
Yeah. Really great perspective. One thing I would try and point out is that there is a difference between giving someone a hand out and giving that person a hand up. And as Christians, I don't necessarily believe that we're called to give people handouts. Let me fix this. Oh, is that one? Or is it this one? Which dial is it? I want to fix. Okay, maybe that works. Okay, so I don't believe that we're called to give people handouts, because then we end up enabling the kind of behavior that may have gotten them in that position. Right, yeah. But we should be willing to help give people a hand up. We should be willing to, and not only willing, but I think really our calling is to help people and to display compassion in tangible ways that helps them lift up out of that situation. So perhaps a better way than I mean, you might not be able to do this, Mary, but theoretically, if you could do all things, rather than giving that person just money, a better thing that you could do is give them a job. Like then they're able to exercise and work their own skills and develop those skills and provide for their own family. So if there's a way, and I don't know how to apply this directly to your situation, Mary, where you can give them a hand up and not a hand out, I think that that's really going to be the best thing for you.
Exactly. And I think also another thing is, if you're able to just sit and find out about her life. I know there was some kind of language barrier possibly there. But even though there might be a language barrier, if someone could help somehow connect and talk to her, then maybe you'll be able to find out and gain a friendship with her that might be able to help her with whatever she needs in life, you know, through that process of actually creating that friendship and navigating that with her.
Mark's asking, where in the Bible do you see this? If I give someone a handout, I'm enabling them nonsense. It's not a scriptural thing. It's just like a reality thing. If you give someone handouts, human psychology is such that if I get things for free, then I don't need to work for them.
Right. Yeah.
And so you might actually end up hurting them in the long run. It's not like a scriptural thing. It's a human psychology thing. Yeah. You can disagree with it. And at the end of the day, if you want to just give people handouts, like that's totally fine. Like I'm not saying that it's evil or wrong to do that. I'm just saying for me, I would prefer to give a hand up than a handout. Mary says, thank you very much for your advice. Let's see. There was a question I wanted to talk about. You guys are asking good question, guys. I appreciate this. Oh, right. Okay. Alcab, thank you very much for the $3.99 super chat. He's asking, can you explain the 4 views on the millennium? The 4 views on the millennium, as I understand them, are pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib, and a-trib. Is that correct?
That
do you know?
Be correct. That's yeah. I don't quite think. I didn't know there was 4.
I know for sure there's 3. I'm guessing on the 4th one. Okay, so the ideas on the different views of the millennium. There is this time frame as we look in Revelation chapter 20. This concept of 1,000 years. Oh, wrong button. You see the 1,000 years. You see the angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit, a great chain. And it says that Satan is bound for 1,000 years. There are a couple other things that take place during the millennium, during the 1,000-year period. Satan is bound, and the saints are taken to heaven to conduct judgment, whatever that means. We can talk about that later. But we're given the work of judgment. The question on the millennium is, when does that millennium take place? So in conjunction with the millennium, there's this other thing called the tribulation. You might have heard about this in the book of Revelation. There seems to be a lot of scary things that go on, and plagues and whatever the case is. The question is does the millennium take place pre-tribulation, post-tribulation, mid-tribulation? And actually, I don't know if that a-tribulation really is a thing. I'm going to go with 3 because I only know 3. Do you know the 4th one?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. So the idea is, does the millennium take place before the tribulation? Does it take place after the tribulation, or does it somehow take place in the middle? What do you feel like?
Well, from my understanding, when I look at it, it seems to me that those 1,000 years happen after Christ has returned. And so tribulation seems to be happening before Jesus returns. And so if that's the case, it would have to be post-tribulation.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I believe that the millennium takes place after the tribulation, after the resurrection. So this it's interesting, Sabrina, that we're talking about these ideas of what happens when you die and all these different kinds of things. There's a couple really key timelines that I want to share with you. So let's go to 1 Thessalonians. This is a verse that we've talked about a handful of times on stream over the last couple of days. 1 Thessalonians chapter 13. Oh, I keep pressing the wrong button. I apologize, guys. 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 13. Talks about the coming of the Lord. And I want you to see something really important. It says in let's go with verse 16. It talks about the coming of the Lord. The Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of a command, with the voice of an archangel, the sound of the trumpet. Notice this, the dead in Christ will rise first. We've talked about this idea that at the second coming of Jesus, those who have been righteous and have been killed or just passed away, they are resurrected first. And Darth Vader, thank you very much for moderating the chat. I've been noticing that, and I appreciate you stepping in for that. Whenever people do kind of like nasty messages, it'll show live because it's a live stream. And there's nothing you can really do about it. I have a handful of people, these ones that are highlighted in blue, who are my mods. Cool. CJ and Darth Vader, and there's a couple other who normally show up. So they are kind of moderating the chat when it's...
That's awesome.
Yeah, so appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I empower you, keep doing that. So the dead in Christ rise first. So there is a resurrection that takes place at the beginning of the beginning of the second coming of Jesus. There is actually 2 resurrections that take place. And the second resurrection we see in Revelation chapter 20, which is this chapter on the 1,000 years. So we're at the 1,000 years chapter. Let's keep going to check this out. They came and reigned. They came to life. This is talking about those. Well, actually, let's back up. Let's just show you. Verse 4. Then I saw thrones, and seated on them were those to whom the authority to judge was committed. I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for the testimony for Jesus and the word of God. Okay, notice this. You see people who were killed, martyrs for Jesus. Obviously, those are the righteous. So according to 1 Thessalonians, they are resurrected at the second coming of Jesus. This is the first resurrection. It says right here, they came to life and they reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. So the righteous resurrection takes place at the beginning of the 1,000 years. Specifically, it starts at the second coming of Jesus. So that's why we would say that the millennium takes place post-tribulation.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. We got another super chat, $5 super chat from Word in Action saying, I've been wanting to start a podcast show called Word in Action. Can you give me advice on how to start and build up an audience? Have you ever done a podcast or anything like that?
I have not.
Okay, so then it's just me. So my advice on a podcast is you want to have a clear idea of who you're trying to reach. What are the problem points of the person that you're trying to reach with your podcast? What are the questions? What are the issues that this person is struggling with? So the idea for my channel is I want to try and help people understand the Bible. I realize that might not be the thing that everybody in the world wants to really dive deeper in, but as you can tell, you can hear Ronan in the background freaking out. As you can tell from live stream content and the other kind of content that I create, I'm trying to help people understand the Bible who want to understand the Bible, trying to go deeper in spiritual discussions, things like that. So that's kind of my niche. What is the niche that you want? So you have to have a clear understanding of what problems and questions are you trying to solve, and then create content around that. Beyond that, you just got to create a lot of content. I think this is like, I'm 400 videos in at least. And so it just takes a lot of time to get going. So yeah. Thanks for the response. Still confused, but I'll continue to do research. If you want to send me a DM, dude, I can try and help you a little bit with that. Sabrina is asking, someone else was asking about thoughts on praying in tongues. You want to take that one?
My thoughts on praying in tongues. Well, from my understanding, that is one of the gifts that God gives to people, and I think that there is two things in the Bible that talk about it. One is when you're talking to someone or sharing with someone, that God will give you this special gift of tongues to be able to share in their language. That happened throughout the book of Acts and in other places in the Bible.
I got a story about that. So I have a friend who actually experienced that.
Ah.
She was doing ministry, I think it was like in Arizona, could only speak English, and was like praying with someone, signing up for Bible study, just like doing ministry, right? And then after the conversation, the person says, so where did you learn to speak Spanish so well?
Wow.
And the girl was like, what are you talking about? I don't speak a word of Spanish. She's like, but you've been speaking to me in Spanish this entire time. So my friend was speaking in English. The woman she was ministering to heard in Spanish.
Yeah.
That's one example of tongues, is what you're saying.
That's a perfect example of speaking in tongues or praying in tongues. Same thing. God will give you that gift and you'll be able to speak it. And sometimes, actually many times I've seen it when people do it, they don't even realize they're doing it when they're sharing with someone. So God has that special gift for some people that are able to do that. And then the Bible talks about speaking in tongues like in your own private time when you're talking to him. How that manifests, it depends on that person and their connection with Jesus Christ and as they're talking to him. But that's more of a private time with you and God, and how that's manifested. It can be manifested in many different ways. I've never experienced it, but I have friends that have. And so that's what I pretty much know there.
Yeah. One thing I would add to the conversation about tongues is there's a belief in a lot of churches that if you don't speak in tongues, then you're not saved. That I would be careful to disagree with, because I don't think that that's actually the case. Like, I don't ever see one recorded instance of Peter speaking. Oh, actually, that's not true. Peter did. Paul speaking in tongues or Jesus speaking in tongues. And so like, I don't think that that's like a universal thing. The Bible talks about how we have many different gifts. Some people are given the gift of tongues or healing, preaching, prophecy, different things. And so I don't think that this is one gift that's supposed to apply to everybody. All right, let's do one more question before we end. We're going a little bit over right now, but let's find one other thing. Yes, and for clarification, she was intending to pray in English, and the person heard her in Spanish, yes. Ronan is... I trapped Ronan outside, and he's like banging on the doggy door to come back inside. But he's going to be barking once he sees Juan. Sabrina is saying... Sabrina's just got all the good questions today. For the pastor, how can you go through seminary school and never go through Revelation? Do you mean Revelation as in the book, or... I'm going to just assume that you mean the book of Revelation. How could it be that a pastor like just completely disregards the book of Revelation? And she says, yes, that's what she meant.
I went through seminary and we had some in-depth study in Revelation, like a whole year's worth of it. So I can attest to my experience. I don't know how any other, seminary does it as far as that goes, except the one that I went through. So if they don't have a class on Revelation, then that person that goes through it just can't do it.
Yeah. And that's a problem because Revelation is about Jesus. I have never been to seminary, as you guys know, but I have spent a considerable amount of time studying the book of Revelation. The very beginning of the book of Revelation, it literally says the revelation of Jesus Christ. Like, if you want to know Jesus, you can't ignore the book of Revelation. I think it is important. So I think it is a book definitely worth studying. Anyways, with that said, guys, I appreciate the questions. Thanks for hanging out. We went a few minutes over. But we got to run. We got a whole day of conversations and activities planned, and I got to go take care of Ronan. You can hear him in the background. He's freaking out. He's just like, why am I trapped outside? This doesn't happen very often. So with that said, guys, thank you very much for hanging out. CJ and Darth Vader, they're going to be hanging out. If you have any prayer requests or any other questions that they might be able to answer, feel free to stick around and type your prayers in the live chat, and they'll hang out with you guys. They'll say a prayer for you as well. But before we close, maybe Pastor, would you close us out with a word of prayer and a blessing for everyone that's watching?
Yes, sir. Holy and great God, we thank you for your love and your blessings. We thank you for this time I was able to be here and watch this in action, Lord. I pray that you would bless this ministry and bless Justin and bless everyone that was a part of it today, Lord. May you, I pray, reveal yourself to them in a special way and reveal your love to them, and may you draw their hearts closer to your heart is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We will talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're hanging out, if you got the spare time, let's hang out tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on bell notifications. That way you can be up to date with all the latest updates. One other thing real quick, if there's a video that I'd appreciate you guys to check out, I just launched a new video, and I'll put this in the chat. Give me a second to pull it up. Letters to the Church. This is the second to last part of the conversation with John and I on Francis Chan's book, Letters to the Church, which is a really fantastic book. And we're specifically talking about this question, is church obsolete? Asking the question is, hey, maybe church is just dying. Is it time for a rebirth in what church looks like? And I think you'll really enjoy that conversation. So I put the link in the live chat. Feel free to go check it out over there. Give me some thoughts and ideas. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. God bless.